Hi guys, we are back again with the TOEFL iBT reading skill type 1, responding to vocabulary questions. Let's see what kind of a question this is and how we need to answer it. Alright, in this question they highlight a word inside the passage and then they ask you for its closest meaning. Well, you should never ever just look at the question and start checking ABCD and answering the question, because in English language every word has several different meanings. So sometimes the secondary meaning of the words can be used. So what you need to do is to find the meaning of the word from the passage. How? We will discuss that. There is something very important and I wish to discuss that first. Let me give you an example. Consider this word, unimaginable. Sometimes there are long words like this and difficult ones. So let's imagine that you don't know the word unimaginable. Kind of ironic, isn't it? And let's see, we see this word in the text, but we don't know its meaning. So what you could do is to cut the word in parts, which will make you understand the word easily. We cut in 3 here: on, imagine, able. Grammatically and linguistically, that on part is called prefix. Imagine part is called stem or root. And the last part, able, is called suffix. Now the good news is there are some patterns for those prefixes and suffixes, and they have special meanings. So if you know the meanings of some prefixes, you can answer the question based on the prefix without knowing the meaning of the stem. For example, you will at least understand whether the word has a positive or a negative meaning. For instance, in this example, unimaginable, if you look at the on part, you will immediately recognize that on has a negative connotation. It has a negative meaning. So the word unimaginable should have a negative meaning. Without knowing the meaning of unimaginable, you can check ABCD and just eliminate, that is, get rid of, cross out. You can eliminate the words that has a positive meaning. With this, at least you can get some of the answer choices out of your way. Now, these are some examples. For example, ab means away from, like abolish, abnormal, that is away from normal. Abstract. So if you know the prefix ab, even if you don't know the meaning abnormal, you can get its meaning out of here. Ad means to, towards, advanced, admire, adhere. Anti or anti means against, anti-war, antipathy, antibiotic. So based on these prefixes and suffixes, you can get the meaning of the words, and that helps a lot in some of the questions that you don't know the meaning of the word. So these are the skills, 7 skills that we will use to answer vocabulary questions. Number 1, identify the word form. That is, just consider this. Is the word a noun, a verb, adjective, an adverb? And does it have a positive or a negative meaning? Like I said before, knowing that a word is positive or negative, you can eliminate some of the answer choices without even knowing the meaning. And you will see how a noun, verb, adjective will make a difference in finding the correct answer. Number 2, analyze the word in the immediate context. Like I said, don't look at the verb in the question and jump into ABCD. Consider the passage. Consider the sentence in which that word appears. What is the relationship between that word and the verb of the sentence, the subject, the object? What role does that word play in the sentence? If you start answering these questions, the meaning will come to you. Number 3, analyze the word in the larger context. This is partly part 2, but there's an important part here. There is usually, but not always, the synonym or antonym. Synonym means a word that has the similar meaning, and antonym means a word that has the opposite meaning, of the words that you're asked around it. Let me repeat that. There is usually the synonym or antonym of the word you're looking for around it. We will see it in the examples. And this is where step number 1 comes into play. You should find out what word form that word is. A noun, a verb, or an adjective. Because when we are looking for a synonym or antonym, we should know what we are looking for. If it's a verb, we should be looking for a verb. If it's a noun, we should be looking for a noun. So step 1 comes into play. Step 4, guess the meaning of the word based on the context. I don't even look at ABCD answer choices. I go to the passage, follow these steps. The meaning, like a picture, comes to my mind. I look for that picture in the answer choices. And that is the most accurate way to answer this question. Step number 5, we already discussed this. Break the word into parts, into prefix, stem, suffix. This will help you answer the question. Step number 6, replace the highlighted word with your answer. Does it make sense in the context? And step number 7, use POE, or process of elimination. That is, instead of directly looking for the correct answer, usually it helps to look for the wrong answers first. Get rid of them, that is, eliminate them, and accordingly arrive at the correct answer. This is what we call the process of elimination. In the TOEFL iBT, this is an extremely useful technique. It will help you a lot. 2 examples. Number 1, is that you, Joe? He asked. Who else could it be? I retorted. Let's pretend that we don't know the meaning of retorted. I ask you, what part of sentence is it? A noun, a verb, an adjective? Yes, it's a verb. Now, according to the rules we just studied, we said usually there will be a synonym or antonym of this word around it. A synonym or antonym of a verb should be a verb. My question for you, what is the verb in the previous sentence? It is asked, right? So asked and retorted should have the same meaning or opposite meaning. Without even knowing what retorted is, I found out that it either means asked or answered. Now, I go to answer choices. A, neither asked nor answered. C, neither asked nor answered. And the same goes with D. But when I look at B, I see, answered. So retorted means answered. See how I'm analyzing the questions. When you look at the word, don't go like, oh, I don't know the meaning of this word, let me just skip it. No, don't do that. We're going to fight with the questions to get the answers. Question number 2. The picture changed and the sports began to wane. The sports world diminished. First question, what part of sentence is it? Noun, verb, adjective, adverb? Yeah, it's verb. Rule number 2, let's look for its synonyms and antonyms. The verb of the next sentence is diminished. So diminished and wane should have the same or opposite meanings, right? So diminished has a negative meaning. It means it decreased, it weakened, right? So wane should either have weaken meaning or strengthened meaning. But we cannot answer this question like this. It's not like the previous question. It's a bit more difficult. So let's consider the meaning. The sports world diminished. Sports world weakened, right? What is the result? The result, the end part, is the weakening of the sports world. Have that in your mind. Let's go to the first part of the sentence. The picture changed and sports world began to go to that result. Began to weaken, right? Therefore, wane means weaken. That is choice C. And even if you don't know the meaning of diminish, by its prefix, you can understand that it has a negative meaning. Therefore, you can understand that the result is negative. And thus, you can come back to the first part of the sentence. You can look at the sentence and you will see the picture changed and sports began to something negative happens. So you're looking for something negative. Answer choice A is positive, B is positive, D is neutral. So the only negative word there is weaken. See how I'm answering? Even if I don't know the meaning of the word, I can get the answer based on the context. Okay, your homework is from Delta's Key to the TOEFL iBT book, pages 70 to 79. Try to do at least 15-20 questions from this skill. The thing that I like about this book is that it gives you skill-based practices. Instead of giving you 10 skills and then giving you one passage, having questions from all the skills, it gives you one skill, gives you 30, 40 questions just for that skill. And then it gives you another skill, 30, 40 questions just for that skill. So it helps a lot to strengthen your skills in answering in each particular skill. Now, let's go to Delta and let's have 3 sample questions from that book, more professional questions. Okay, question number 1 says, the word obstructed in the passage is closest in meaning to. Now, what are we going to do? Are we going to go to ABCD? No, we're not going to even check those words. We're going to go to passage, try to get the meaning of the word from the passage. Now, the last part of that passage says, if the sense of smell is obstructed, as by a head cold, the perception of the taste is sharply reduced. Okay, obstructed. Let's say we don't know. What part of sentence is it? Noun, verb, adjective? It's a verb. So we will be looking for its synonyms or antonyms around it. What is the verb in the next sentence? It is reduced. It says the taste is sharply reduced. So obstructed and reduced should either have the same meaning or opposite meaning. So for now, we know that obstructed either means reduced or increased. So this we know, but that is not enough to be able to answer this question because it's kind of a tricky one. So let's consider the meaning. If the sense of smell is obstructed as by a head cold, you see now it's giving the example, as by a head cold. So consider this, when you have a cold, what happens to your nose? What happens to your smelling sense? Does it weaken? Is it reduced or is it increased? Well, of course it's reduced. So there is a negative meaning here. So based on the meaning we understood from that example, from that head cold example, that something negative happens to your nose. And we were stuck between 2 meanings, either reduced or increased. And from this example, we understood that the word has a negative meaning. Therefore, it means reduced. So I go to answer choices. A, involved. No. B, increased. Right opposite. C, developed. Again, opposite. D, blocked. So you see, blocked is the closest in meaning to increased. So blocked here is closest in meaning to the word reduced. And fellows, be very careful. We are not looking for the exact meaning of the words. As the question says, the word obstructed in the passage is closest in meaning to. It doesn't say the exact meaning, so be careful. So, number 1, D. Number 2, the phrase accounts for in the passage means. The second sentence says, the angle between the 2 hydrogen atoms is 100 degrees, the same angle as the angles of hexagon, which accounts for the characteristic 6-sided structure of ice crystals. Now, here is a tip for you. Whenever you see long dashes, the thing that comes between them is usually an extra piece of information, so we don't care about it. So delete it completely. The sentence reduces to this. The angle between the 2 hydrogen atoms is 120 degrees, which accounts for the characteristic 6-sided structure of the ice crystal. Here, that word which, the pronoun which, is a bit tricky. I'm not going to talk about the skills on how to find the answers to pronoun questions, to reference questions. That is another skill. We will deal with that thoroughly. So here, I'm going to let you cheat. Here, which refers to 120 degrees. Just don't ask why. You will see in the other video. For now, don't confuse yourself. So which refers to 120 degrees. So again, the sentence reduces to 120 degrees accounts for the characteristic 6-sided structure of ice crystals. It means when you look at 120 degrees, you understand that, this is a 6-sided structure of ice crystal. So I'm going to go with just meaning here. Let me ask this. What does that 120 degree show you? Again, show you. Does it summarize the six-sidedness? No. Does it connect it? Well, of course not. Does it decrease it? No. It explains the six-sided structure of ice crystals. So here, as you can see, I just went with meaning. I didn't use any other special mechanical techniques, just the meaning. And my tip for you, although I'm helping you with these skills, I don't want you to memorize these skills mechanically. None of them works mechanically, and you will never ever be able to use them mechanically in the exam. It will confuse you, it will waste your time, it will decrease your score. Learn these skills, but when you are finding the answers, go natural. Number 3, the word compile in the passage is closest in meaning to. Now, the last sentence in this paragraph says, the employees who are responsible for preparing the report must have a clear understanding of how the report will be used before they compile it. The word compile, it's a verb, right? So let's see what the verb in the previous sentence is. The employees who are responsible for preparing. The action that they do is preparing. So this action, preparing, and compile should have either the same meaning or opposite meaning. Let's consider the meaning. The employees who are responsible for preparing the reports. So there are people who, well, prepare reports, and those people should have a clear grasp, a clear understanding of how the reports should be what? Should be agreed with? No. Should be asked about? We are not talking about questioning and answering. D, should be looked for. It doesn't make sense. The only choice that makes sense here is put together. Put together means prepare. So preparing and compile have the same exact meaning. I'm reading the sentence again. The employees who are responsible for preparing the report must have a clear understanding of how the report will be used before they prepare it. The meaning is this: they are responsible for preparing, but before they start preparing, they should have a good understanding of it. This is the meaning of the sentence. That's how we understood that compile means preparing and therefore put together. Pages 70 to 79 of the Delta's Key to the TOEFL iBT Advanced Skill Practice. Thank you very much for watching this video. Stay tuned for the other videos.